I'm Karaleigh Garrison, and this is Seeking Sunshine, where we are going to find the positive in the trials of life. 'Cause I'm seeking sunshine, I'm seeking sunshine, I'm seeking sunshine. Oh, 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 I'm seeking sunshine, I'm seeking sunshine, I'm seeking sunshine, I'm seeking sunshine. This is Karaleigh Garrison. Welcome back to Seeking Sunshine. I am so thrilled today to have my great friend Ben Berard here to tell us his incredible story and to talk about his amazing new business called Ketchef. Ketchef brings the restaurant experience right to your home. Whether you're celebrating a special occasion or just looking for a fun new experience, they have something amazing in store for you. Ketchef is a company where a professional chef comes and cooks a gourmet meal in your own home. I'm so excited to be able to talk with Ben today and for us to hear his story. He is so inspiring. He is such a rock star. Welcome, Ben.
All right. Hello. My name is Benjamin. Thank you so much, Karaleigh, for having me on your program. I know I love following your Facebook group. So much positivity from there. And the fact that I get to give back during an interview with you and see you. It's been, over 10 years since I've seen you last. So it's just...
High school.
I know. It's so nice to actually see you face to face. These days, Zoom is face to face. We're all very acclimated to the new climate of where the world is. But anyways, I was so happy when you asked me to be on your program and kind of share a little bit about kind of what I've gone through, who I am, and how I sought sunshine when all there were really on surface level were cloudy skies. Essentially, I know you, Karaleigh, from a very small town. I ended up moving from that town to Los Angeles. In Los Angeles, that's really where I blossomed into the young man I'll call myself. I might be flattering myself, 30 years old. Today, I worked with some of the largest names in the catering industry, and I thought that made me a really cool person. So I put a lot of emphasis on my life, on the celebrities that I knew, the events that I attended, and I started just getting this really warped concept of what it is to be a human being and to be proud of who you are. It really turned into materialistic and really surface level items when now today, after going through some hardships and struggle, I have found that couldn't be farther from the truth. I got married very quickly in a relationship after having dated someone for just a matter of months. And it turns out that might not have been fully based on love. I don't want to say that there was citizenship reasons that the marriage happened, but I would say it's not necessarily out of the question, which that doesn't really have a whole lot to do with my story. It just kind of adds complexity to kind of how I was humbled just as a human being, and also how that helped grow my comprehension of not only loving someone else, but loving myself. So in my career in Los Angeles, as I said, I got to do some really cool stuff, and I ended up working after managing the LA Convention Center for a matter of years and putting on the Emmys and the Grammys. And I mean, there was a time I was looking Dolly Parton in the eye as she sang Jolene to me during a warm-up, amongst other things.
I know, I'm over here like... fangirling out. What? That's
I hate to be all LA on you, but I've got really fun stuff. I've been to Miley Cyrus's house in Washington Park. Kobe Bryant was sitting.
Feel free to name drop all you want, because
I was in Nora Jones's dressing room. I met Snoop Dogg and Martha Stewart. We created the Sticky Icky Dog. I mean, I've done really cool things, and when you do those things, it's really easy to be caught up in that. And so I started creating this dream for myself. And I wanted that American dream, right? I want the successful job, the house, the white picket fence, the nice car, the stacked bank account. And after spending some time at the convention center, I got to move over to a national staffing company where I was able to continue my relationship. And this is again very LA, but I got to continue my relationship with Kanye West. I got to start launching a lot of staffing for his events. I can't name drop anyone else or any other locations or things that we've done, but it was really cool. And so I got to work for this big staffing company with these big name celebrities after, just this really cool track record. And in my head, I'm like, awesome. Like I'm doing all of the right things, I am making good money. I do have the job. I am married. On the surface level, I had everything I wanted, but there was still so much unhappiness in my life. And we could do a whole different series on money, materialistic goods, and how that doesn't yield happiness. It's an old saying, money doesn't buy happiness, and it's true. And I don't necessarily know what the key to happiness is, other than a few items that I will touch on based on my experience as I kind of share my story. So you might have heard about it. It's called the pandemic, and it struck all of our lives and affected all of our lives in some capacity. Even if you didn't lose your job, you still knew someone who did, or now you were going through different safety protocols, or you were just, you had the back of your mind, you're like, what is this? Is this real? And this isn't meant to be, a conversation on a debate. This has nothing to do with the pandemic other than the effects that it had on my life. And the effects that you can choose to have this predicament or any predicament really have on your life as well. So as I was working for this national staffing company, kicking butts and taking names, suddenly the pandemic happened. I ended up losing my job, and that was a huge blow to my ego. I went from being one of the top salespeople, the top of my game, highly sought after, to sorry, Ben, we no longer have a position for you. We're actually furloughing all of the owners of the company. We are going to be getting rid of the office, and potentially we might have to actually just close our doors altogether. This company did have some investors. They had a board. So I will say today they still are in business, and funny enough, they've actually reached out for a job opportunity. But as you will find out, I sought a lot of sunshine in my darkest of times, and I no longer need that job opportunity because I have faith, amongst other things. So just to get you kind of into my mindset, like where I was mentally, I lost my job, I lost my income, I lost my health insurance, and bear in mind, I was the breadwinner for my family, so I was the one providing the health insurance. I was the one paying the bills. At that time, my ex-partner, he didn't make any money, so very little money. He was and I don't want to get too much into his story just out of respect, but he was a 1099 private contractor, which taxation on those is very, very heavy unless you have a good accountant. And he wasn't able to contribute as much as necessarily I was, and I was happy to do so because money, I always say, money doesn't go to the afterlife with you. So, if I have it and if I can contribute, and you know what, I benefit from it as well. They say happy life or happy wife, happy life. And I don't know what the motto is for a gay relationship, but happy man, you've got a plan or a plan. I don't know. So I'm going through all of this just chaos in my life. And now I feel insecure. I haven't had to look for a job in a long time. Everyone was getting unemployed. I've never in my life been on unemployment or any financial assistance. I mean, and maybe this is a little bit of pride, but I paid for my first car myself. I paid to go to college myself. I paid my cell phone bill since I was 18 years old. I've never asked for my parents for any money since even since high school. I wouldn't ask for lunch money. It's always been kind of a thing. I don't know what caused that. But I guess it is a pride and an ego thing. I do not want help because I'm okay. I'm fine. I'm always fine. But as I soon found out, I was not fine. And so many things in my life that I put so much emphasis on and based my confidence and esteem on were not fine. And so shortly after losing my job, shortly after losing so many other things, I also ended up losing my husband, and that's not to say he passed away. That's to say I moved on to other greener pastures, and that alone was a really hard wake-up call. I can go on about my marriage, which I don't think we should spend all that much time on.
I'm gonna say, forgive me if this is way too personal of a question, and you can totally skip it.
Yeah.
But how much of your job loss and that financial crisis was in relation, like caused your struggles in your marriage? Like that seems like a common thing that causes marriage problems?
So you know what? The funny thing is, I was actually okay. Like I believe there are two types of people financially: people that save and then spend, or people that spend and then save. I always save first. I put money in that piggy bank. And so I had a good rainy day fund that I could rely on. I was fine. You know, I could have gone to lunch a fairly decent amount of time without a job and been fine. It's just there's a level of security there. So the impact that this had on my marriage is actually not what you would expect. So your partner in a marriage is supposed to be someone who loves you, supports you, motivates you, and kind of just is your partner. They're your teammate. They're rooting you on. They're encouraging you. They're your support system. They are the one.
You two against the world.
They are the one in your ecosystem, in your network that you can rely on no matter what. So it was the day after I was told I lost my job. And okay, so a little bit about me, as I'm a morning person. I get up very early, typically around 5 or 5:30. That's early for me, at least, and that was hard for me to get to.
That's totally early.
Right? And so that was hard for me to get to that point, but I told myself, I want to train my brain to be a morning person. If you think it, you can do it. I was like, I want to be a morning person. I want to be active. And if you look at so many successful people, which I wanted to be and thought I was, they all have a regimen of getting up early as well. They're not sleeping until 8 or 9 a.m. So I decided I was going to try that as well. I taught myself to be a morning person. And so I actually got up at 5:30, and maybe it was around 6. It was normal time for me that day, the day after losing my job. And this is, just so we're clear, the date was September 13th, 2020. I will never forget that date because that was my dog's first birthday, my dog that I had gotten from my ex-husband as a Valentine's Day present earlier that year. So I played a lot of roles in that marriage, and unfortunately, I was taken advantage of on multiple levels. And in addition to being the breadwinner, in addition to, I guess, being a ticket to be in America, I was also the one taking care of the dog, meaning all of the dog walks, the vet, the pet insurance. I also took care of the fish, the dishes, the cooking, you name it.
We have like an 8 or 9 month old puppy. It is so much work.
Yeah, I we'll get to it, but I have another puppy now as well. His name's Gogi. But at that time, my dog's name was Max, and he was my world. I felt alone in my marriage a lot of the time. And once I got that dog, I actually, it was one of the first times that I felt love. And because dogs will love you unconditionally. So, and I still actually get choked up about it because that I really loved that dog, and he knew that was my thing. And I'll share a little bit more about that and how he used that against me. So, my marriage was on the rocks for a little while, and, something didn't feel right. And, we were going through some hard stuff. And, I'm the type of person where I truly believe that life is 10% what happens to you and 90% what you do with that. So I tried really hard to take the bad in my marriage and turn that around to something positive. I believe in the power of compromise. And so I tried to really see where he was coming from and see what I could do to maybe be a better partner, be a better team player. And I soon realized that I was the only one compromising, and that, it comes down to even the silliest of things, to where I couldn't watch the TV shows or movies that I wanted. I couldn't go to restaurants. I wasn't allowed to have sushi when I was married to him. He was anti-Asian food, and sushi. Asian food is my favorite food. Chinese food, Thai food,
anti-Asian food.
He's Brazilian, and so Brazilians are they're very like pro-Brazil, and so Brazil has the best everything. So it has to be Brazilian food, and Mexican food is very similar. It's rice, beans, and meat. So that is what I had to cook for dinner every single night. Otherwise, he wouldn't eat. And just to give you a little bit of context, as well as to kind of like when I say I did a lot in the marriage, it was to the point where I wasn't allowed to choose the menu that I was cooking, yet I was still required to cook the dinner. When he was finished, he would leave his plate on the table, even if he didn't eat all of it. So it was my responsibility to then take his plate, put his food in the trash, and then wash not only the dishes that I used to cook the meal, but also the dish that he used to eat on. And that goes from everything. I mean, just the most, every marriage they say, like, there's always, this is this very common battle. Like, it needs to be a little bit more evenly distributed. Like, someone maybe does the cleaning, but then someone does the cooking, or someone takes the trash out and the other does like the mopping. But it was all me. And I continuously made excuse after excuse after excuse. And then I realized on September 13th, on my dog's birthday, also the day after I lost my job, I took my dog out. As I said, I'm a morning person, so I got up around 5:30 or 6, took the dog out on a walk, and on most other days I would start working or just do something productive. But on this particular day, I just wanted to lay back down. This September 13th, if I recall, it was a Saturday. I might be wrong. This is over a year ago at this point, but it was a weekend. And so I decided to lay back in bed. My ex-husband was still in bed. He didn't get up to walk the dog. He was sleeping still. So I laid down. So some time passes, and now it's maybe 9:30 in the morning. And he like abruptly gets out of bed and aggressively goes into the kitchen. And because it was our dog's first birthday, he had purchased like this little cake mix for him, like a little microwavable, like take powder and water, then microwave it and turn this into an apple dog cake. And so he wanted to do like a little birthday thing for our dog, which I thought was a really cute idea. But he aggressively got in the kitchen, and I had no idea what he was doing because, as I shared, he doesn't do anything in the kitchen. And slamming cupboards and angrily opening the faucet. And I was like, what in the world? So then I went into the kitchen and I was like, hey, like, good morning. And he immediately told me that I had depression. And I simply asked him, like, what are you talking about? He says, well, you're staying in bed way too late and you never do this. And I know what depression looks like, and you have depression and you need to see a therapist. And mind you, this is the day after I lost my job and my insurance and my security. And I didn't, my feet were up in the air. And so for him to accuse me of such a thing, which depression is not something that should be taken lightly. In fact, more people should be self-aware and, get help if you need help. Like, take care of yourself. Your mental health is not something to take for granted. So then just to fast forward a little bit, that conversation turned less into a conversation and more into an accusation. The accusation turned more into a fight. And at that point, and to be honest with you, he and I had talked about separating before on a few occasions, to the point of where where would you go, or how would we separate this? And so after the conversation, argument, fight commenced, and I realized this isn't going anywhere. And at this point, the definition of insanity is like doing the same thing and expecting a different result. I realized I was going insane. I was continuously trying to make something work that was not working. I was not happy, and I was delusional to think that staying in that relationship, anything was going to change. It wasn't going.
He was gaslighting you.
You what?
He was gaslighting you.
Absolutely. And he was a narcissist. At this point, when he's yelling to the point where spit is getting on my face, when I had done nothing but lay in bed.
Sorry, it's called projecting.
Yeah, yes.
That was projecting.
It was.
Okay.
So at this point, we were arguing because I had laid in bed longer than I normally do. I decided enough is enough, and I grabbed a suitcase. And when you're in that chaotic, adrenaline-fueled state of mind, it's almost like you black out. I just remember grabbing my suitcase. I started grabbing clothes that I hadn't worn in years. It made no sense. Half the stuff didn't fit me. I don't know why I grabbed. I was just crisis mode. So I'm packing the suitcase. I grabbed my birth certificate, my social security card, and just whatever I could. And then I was trying to go for my dog, and he took my dog, and he barricaded my dog, essentially saying, if you want the dog, you have to stay with me. So then I had to make a choice. Do I choose me, or do I choose the one breathing organism that showed me love in my entire marriage? And I had to be selfish. I had to choose myself. And that was one of the hardest decisions. And, I have a new dog now, but I just have to say, like, there's no replacing. It's not an easy thing to do. Like, that's just dogs. If you're a dog person, they have a special place in your heart. So he started chasing after me, and I told him, if you take one more step towards me, I will scream. I'm a very social creature. And so I knew all of our neighbors. This is an apartment building. So I told him, if you take one more step, I will scream. He backed off. I made it to my car. And then I realized, well, crap. Now, not only do I not have a job, I don't have an income, I don't have insurance, I don't have security, but now I don't have a house and I don't have a husband. So everything that I knew that I had, that I put so much emphasis and value on, it was gone. And so then I had to brainstorm, like, what do I do? And so I tried to call my family. Nobody had answered. And it turns out my ex-husband had actually called all of my family by the time that I even made it down to my car. We were on the highest level, so I had to go down this long hallway. And I had to go down this long hallway. I had to catch an elevator. And by the time that I got down to the parking garage, put my stuff in there, got my mind around the situation and started making calls. He had called my brother, my stepsister, my stepmother, my mother, my father, and even a close friend of mine, anyone that he knew that I would try to get in touch with, he had preemptively called to try to paint a narrative.
What did he tell them? Like,
he tried to tell them that I made mistakes, that I lost it, and that they needed to talk sense into me. Which talk about gaslighting, talk about really twisting the narrative.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. And clearly, my family and friends are always going to default to me. They're my friends, they're my family. And to be honest with you, my ex-husband is not an overly likable guy. So any friends he had, except for some Brazilians, because Brazilians just have a way of doing that, it was all thanks to me. So I was like, what are you doing calling my family? So I was blessed because my sister happened to she has two homes, and one is in Los Angeles where I was living at that time. And she told me that I was welcome to live there for as long as I needed. So I went there and I started just trying to heal. And I was not good at healing. I developed a major eating disorder. I was severely underweight. I developed an alcohol addiction where I was drinking daily and blacking out daily. I had barricaded myself. I had isolated myself. And I was dying. I had lost any desire to live. I felt like everything that made me worthy was now no longer in my life, and I was trying to destroy my life. And
I just want to give you such a big hug right now.
Thank you. It gets better. Let me tell you, this story does have a happy ending. So I am now suffering intentionally, almost like I told myself I deserved all of this to happen, which we know, and anyone who's listening knows, like nobody deserves that to happen to you. People deserve, you make the bed that you sleep in, sure, and I don't feel like I made this bed, but at the same time, no one deserves all of these nasty things to happen to you. And ideally,
especially all at once.
Yeah, when it rains, it pours. And so I'm there just dying, literally and metaphorically. And I had an angel reach out to me. And her name was Danny. And she told me, she's like, Ben, you really should not be alone. She's like, we're talking regularly, and I can tell you're drunk all the time. And I see on FaceTime your collarbones are like, I have a whole home with extra space. It's a new start. Come live with me. So I decided that I had nothing to lose. Literally, I had nothing to lose. So I packed everything that I had, which all fit in my car. I made it from California to Las Vegas with all of my possessions in my car. And I started living in Las Vegas, not knowing anything. Bear in mind, just to backtrack a little bit, in addition to losing when I lost my job, I decided that I didn't want to have a whole lot of free time. So I tried to start a company. And the company was something that would send a chef to your house, cook in your kitchen, and serve you a 3-course meal. But it was like an idea. It wasn't anything that really was coming to fruition. I started playing with the website. I started, trying to think what would work, what wouldn't work. And during that time, I also, after I left this is not chronological, guys. I'm sorry. My story is everywhere, but the points are there. After I lost my job, I started this concept of I want to start a business. And during the pandemic, when we had to stay at home, I started a social project. The social project was I was writing prisoners, senior citizens that were trapped in senior homes, people with depression, teachers, people that needed to.
Awesome.
Yeah, you should see.
That's so cool.
Hundreds and hundreds of people wrote me letters, and it became a massive project. It was insane. And so I started, sorry for the background noise, I'm showing Karaleigh all the letters that I have. She can vouch for this a lot.
That's so cool.
So I have this social project now that was meant for me to keep other people company, but that social project ended up keeping me company and giving me a context and a different outlook on life. And then I had this business concept. And
one sec. So basically, the pandemic hit in March, and you still were in business until September, or at least sort of?
Right. I still had a job until the beginning of September is when they let me know that they were going to be furloughing me, and my last pay would be through the end of September. Starting October 1st, I would have no job.
But so March through September, you probably weren't doing much with your job, right? Because everything was shut down.
I was actually very successful in staffing. I got a 90,000 person deal with Walmart. I pivoted to warehouses. I realized warehouses are still in operation and a lot of people don't want to work. So I was able to send staff to them. Drive-in movie theaters they came back pretty quickly. So I was able to start serving or sending staff to drive-in movie theaters. I pivoted and adapted quickly to keep the company afloat.
So when you were writing all these letters, it wasn't because you were sitting home with nothing to do. You were still working all the time, and then you added this on top of it?
Correct.
Yes.
That's
amazing. That is so generous of you, because all these other people were stuck at home. That's really cool.
Thank you. So I was writing letters. I had this idea for a business. I am now living in a new state. I'm now going through a divorce. And so I decided, you know what, Ben? Pick up business, start actually applying yourself to your business. So even though I'm in Vegas, I had kind of created a little mini team. When I say a mini team, I mean 2 little chefs in LA. And I started finding ways to grow the company, market the company, SOPs, standard operating procedures. And just to fast forward a little bit, the company now has 43 employees in 2 major cities. We just partnered with Allegiant Stadium here in Las Vegas. We are working with some very well-known names. We're thriving. And throughout all of the bad things that happened, in addition to the other items we've spoken about, I also, when I first moved to Las Vegas, and I also chose Las Vegas not only because an angel asked me to come here, but because my grandmother lived out here, and I have her handwriting tattooed on me. I'm a grandma's boy, and she passed away 3 weeks after I moved here, despite me living 20 minutes away from her. So I actually have a shrine.
So sorry.
I have a shrine to her. The bear she was holding when she passed away, her perfume. I have her clock here, pictures of us right there. So I miss her. So loss in the family, loss in the job, loss of a relationship, loss in finances, loss in insurance. But so much is being gained. So much character development, for sure. And so much strength is built when you have no option. When you are literally at a rock bottom with nothing, you have no option but to be quite literal. You can die or you can live. Those are your 2 options. And I decided to live. And so the company started growing. I started getting a new mindset and I started volunteering. And I volunteered for a year, like nearly a year. I've been here for less than a year, but I started diving into it. And so today, I find myself as the co-chair of youth programming for the city of Las Vegas, teaching youth leadership courses in a variety of campuses from elementary, junior, high school, and college level kids. I go and speak to on a monthly basis to develop their leadership skills. We do scholarships. I go clean parks. I will literally sift through sand, getting glass out so kids don't cut themselves when they're going down the slide. You'll see me volunteering at a track meet. I'm donating money to go sponsor trophies for athletes. My company was able to donate 3,000 meals to the homeless last Thanksgiving. And I can honestly say, I would not be able to do any of this, any of these amazing things, had I not gone through the trials and trivials that I was forced to go through. And sink or swim, I don't drown. So I took everything bad that happened in my life and I figured, okay, I know what that feels like. And I know that other people know what that feels like. So I want to now try to be an example to other people. And regardless of what's going on in my life, I shared with Karaleigh, I didn't get to go to bed last night. I had a lot of stuff going on and projects that I promised myself I would complete. So even though I am tired today, I am thankful today because I got to wake up. I get to have a puppy. I get to run a business. I get to have a social project. I get to give back with my time and make connections. And I have new friends out here. And none of this would have been possible. If you would have asked me a year ago, Ben, where do you think you're going to be? I sure as hell wouldn't have told you here. I never would have thought that I would be here. I thought I would be in a bad marriage, and I thought I would be mediocre. And it turns out mediocrity is nowhere anyone should be. If you're comfortable in life, in my humble opinion, you're not growing. You should always be a little bit uncomfortable because that keeps you forward.
Totally agree.
Yes, and it's vital. And you need to stretch. You need to stretch farther and farther and farther. And, I jokingly say, we all have the same amount of the hours in a day as Beyonce does. And look what she does in a single day. But, and it's true. I was like, people are so in awe. I just hired 23 employees in the past 2 days, in addition to going to a child sex trafficking workshop, in addition to going to a strategic fundraising committee planning meeting. It goes on and on and on. And it's like, how can I do it? And here's the simple answer how you can do it. Love yourself, don't overthink it, and believe you can. Because as soon as you start doubting yourself, you're going to prove yourself right. I didn't think that I could do any of these things. So here I am today, guys, as someone who has struggled with substances, someone that struggled with an abusive relationship, someone who struggled with putting emphasis on material goods, someone who quite literally came close to losing every penny because I ended up putting it, well, first of all, I donate to charities way too often. I need to stop doing that. But it's almost like the tithing effect where you give 10% and it comes back to you tenfold. I can vouch that that's the truth for me, but I do need to stop taking cash out of the ATM because I end up just donating it. So everything needs to be on card these days. But really, if you just love yourself, you love your life, and you believe you can, and it's as elementary as that little train, I think I can. And suddenly, one day at a time, you do. And you know what? I have, knowing what I've gone through in the past 1 year, the hardships and the wins, the losses and the wins that I've experienced in the last year allow me to believe that so many good things are going to be happening in the years to come. The lives that I can impact and my life, the way that my life has been impacted. And it's as simple as being a good person, doing the right thing, having a good head on your shoulders, and just loving. Love yourself, love others, love life. And it's amazing the things that happen when you allow them to.
You're just so amazing. Like, your story just has me smiling so much. I just love it. Will you tell us more about your business so that whoever does, so that people can hear about it? And
so essentially what we do is, our company name is Ketchef. That's K-E-T Chef. And what we do is we come to your house, we serve you a 3-course meal at your table that we've prepared at your kitchen or in your kitchen. So essentially you go on our website, ketchef.com. You select your menu, your time, your date, your guest count. You let us know of any food allergies, and then you submit your booking. Your signed, sealed, delivered. As soon as that date comes around, chef arrives in uniform with all of the food product, and you'll see them cooking in your kitchen and serving you right at your table. It's a personal dining experience in your home. Bring the restaurant to you. Don't deal with parking. Don't deal with route staff. Don't deal with wait times. Just sit with us. We're all smiles, and we genuinely love what we do. And like I said, we give back. We do everything we can to have a heart. And we take good care of our employees. I always say we put people above profit. My staff makes more money than I do, to be quite honest with you, but we've been blessed, and with the amount of events that we have, all of us can pay our bills.
That is awesome. So tell me where you said it's available in 2 locations.
Yes, we are located in Las Vegas, and we're also located in Los Angeles, but soon to be in a city near you. We have high ambitions to be a national company, and a fun little fact is sometimes I feel like I'm two people. I actually just sold 2% of my company. So we're going to now have the resources to scale even faster. And I'm really excited to see what the future holds for us. So if you go to ketchef.com, you will see updates on Instagram as well at Ketchef, K-E-T Chef. We are soon to be in a city near you if we're not already.
Yay! I am so thrilled for your business, and it was so wonderful to hear from you and hear your amazing story. It is so inspiring. You are amazing.
Thank you so much, Karaleigh. That means a lot coming from you. I appreciate it.
What an incredible story. I am just feeling so inspired and so amazed by everything that you've been through, Ben, and how you've been able to find the sunshine and find a way to persevere even when things were just incredibly difficult. Thank you so much for being here today. If you are in the LA or Las Vegas area, make sure you look up Ketchef and go check out this incredible business. I hope you'll join us next time for Seeking Sunshine.
There are times when life just brings you down, 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 down to the ground, and it's hard when you can't see the light, 'cause things don't look so bright. So now it's time to reframe, and retrain your brain. It's time to look for the good. You know that you should. Why don't you join me? 'Cause I'm seeking sunshine. I'm seeking sunshine. I'm seeking sunshine.